Good
Go.
morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. We are honoring each other's privacy and confidentiality because we're talking about well being, and with well being comes safety,
Mm.
not just physical safety, psychological safety, emotional safety. So we want to just make that very clear from the start that we're honoring each other's privacy right here today.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to this wellness ain't working chat between myself and Melissa, and of course, with everybody else who has joined us. I think there is like 15 of us online right now. Thank you very much. Again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, as we are doing this thing live. So we've got people from Australia and all the way up to the UK. And a little bit of an introduction of myself for those who do not know me. Kevin Goh here. I've been doing HR for the last 30 years. And throughout my career, spanning actually quite a few generations from seniors all the way to the alphas now, one thing in common everybody talks about is about wellness. If you want to check me out, I'm on LinkedIn. Please check me out there. I wouldn't want to bore you with my experience. And for your benefit, for those of you who are in this session, my HR Mythbusters Season 2 will start Monday. And just you guys are the first ones to know. Okay, enough of me. Let's welcome my partner tonight, this evening, this morning, Melissa.
Hey, everyone. Thanks, Kevin. This is one of the reasons why I reached out to you and why I admire you so much for the work that you do, not just because of your heart-centered openness, but because of the wealth of experience you have. I'm Melissa Indot. I've done many things in my life, and the thread that joins all the things that I've done in my life, from stacking shelves at Tesco to being a recording artist in the UK and Malaysia, to being an accountant, to being a life coach and a healing facilitator and a musician, and all those things jumbled together. The one thread for me has always been well-being. It's this incredible, the magic of what makes us human that we often lose because we're chasing a level of success or success in its totality that the system we're born into, this world that we're
Yeah.
born into, is constantly pushing us towards. We're always chasing something. And in our chase for something external, we often lose connection
On
with
the
what is
ourselves.
important to
Yeah.
us on the inside,
Yeah.
which brings me into the wellness and well-being space, mind, body, and spirit. So
Excellent.
that's me. And connect with me on LinkedIn if you're not already. And if not, actually, even better, WhatsApp off platform too.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Yeah.
Go.
At the end of the day, I think both of us have gone through quite a lot of things through life. I think we are HR about the same now that I found out. But you look so much younger than me. And throughout this 30 years of HR life that I've gone through, especially when we talk about wellness, it hasn't been actually talked about. If you looked at it in the workplace, it's never really been talked about. I know we talked about wellness, like you said, going for yoga or going to the gym, or oh, here's a free pass to the gym, and like what Darren Lowe is doing right now, pickling ball somewhere out there. Sometimes that, do you think that is wellness? From the HR perspective, companies can roll out all these programs and apps and whatever you call it, but have they ever asked this question, or have we ourselves ever asked this question, that why are people afraid of speaking out or even speaking up? Is there psychological safety? Have the questions been asked about, hey, even if the workload is manageable, and what about one-to-one engagements? That's why I think human beings have 2 ears and one mouth, is to actually listen to people. And at the end of the day, I feel that these myths of people having these thoughts are just at the surface level, and they're providing these solutions at the very, very surface, or should I say the tip of the iceberg, which is why, because it's easy to implement, Melissa. And that, in their sense, in their mind, they thought that is their cultural accountability to make it happen. They just do need to, at the end of the day, tick a box and say, hey, we've done it. They like to look at reports. They, especially those at the top layers, yeah, if you're sitting at the board, they like all the dashboards looking green. Once it's green, oh, very good, we're doing very well. But I think one very key element is missing is it doesn't address the root cause. And when the management or those people at the top or us as leaders ask, why is it not working? But without drilling down into all the nitty-gritty of things of being actual wellness for people, not just the events, but actual wellness. Anyone who leads, actually right now, at this current state, they're expecting HR to be the ones doing it. But the fact is that, hey, anybody, to me, anybody who leads one person is a people manager. So it's not all about HR, Melissa. What are your thoughts into this? That's from my perspective at the moment.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. And before I dive into my thoughts on this, I just want to clarify for any of the people who've just chimed in, your request to unmute and show your video off right now. But the chat is open, so feel free to share your thoughts and ask any questions in there. Kevin and I will get to it at some point. I just want to roll back just a few steps, Kevin, what you said. Wellness, it's been there. Well-being has been there forever, our well-being. But really, it became more in the forefront of things because of the global lockdown. When we were all trapped in our homes, mental health and emotional well-being really came to the forefront more than it was before. And what happened is it fell into the trap of box ticking. So as you mentioned, corporations, they set up these wellness programs or initiatives because it's something that needed to be done. It was a checklist that they had to achieve to provide. Okay. The original intent is important. It was aligned. But I think now, as usual with humans, when we don't do things with a level of awareness, with real purpose and intention, like really going beyond what we think we should do, but asking the question,
why?
How, right, comes from really listening to the people that we're serving, the people that we are taking care of as leaders.
Correct. Yeah.
How do we define the difference between whether we are approaching wellness as an individual, even as a checklist, because we're approaching it as a checklist, we're being performative. People are burning out and exhausted already because they're overwhelmed. They're doing too much, and they're doing too much often of what isn't aligned to them, what doesn't actually feel right. So if you're giving me one more thing to add to my checklist because that's what I think I should do, that's just adding to my overwhelm.
Exactly.
Okay. We need to go much deeper. We need to care more than adding something onto someone's checklist. The thing is, how do we define the difference between checklist care and what is actually a culture change, a deep culture change? And the world is moving fast, right? So we jump on the bandwagon, we think we're doing the right thing, but really what we need to do is pause and just take a step back and ask the deeper questions, which often for corporations, organizations, and companies, time is money. We don't have the money, we don't have the time, or we don't have the know-how. And most of the time, a lot of the time, I don't know. And I'm really curious to see what people have to say in the chat about this through their own experiences, right?
Yeah, for whoever that is in the call right now, if you want to just jump into the chat and say that whatever your thoughts are, just put it there and then we will come to it.
And this looks different for different regions, I imagine. Even though we're all humans, we're all the same, it's going to look slightly different. Same theme, but slightly different. So it'll be very interesting to see everybody's feedback and experiences on this. So let me just go through and define the difference between checklist care, when we're ticking the boxes, and cultural change. Checklist care looks like this. Okay. It looks like filling out a well-being survey. Okay. It looks like, okay, these initiatives are out there. Did you drink the green juice? Did you do the yoga this week that was set up? Did you join the Zoom about mindfulness? Oh, look, here we are having a Zoom about.
The question is that really what it is? Which, yeah.
And we just simply scratching the surface. And I know for a lot of people, they're like, for people who are new to this, we need to start at surface level. But to me, that's already a limiting belief. Starting at surface level.
Yeah.
As humans, we have heart, we have depth. And it's about creating the safe space to go deep, to have deeper conversations.
And I think part of it is because of the culture that has been like that. And people tend to like, hey, we've been doing this forever. And because the dashboard says it's green, so it's okay. And just like Labubu just mentioned here, the problem is often at the top tier, which you're very right. So that's why I mentioned about dashboards, and you go to meetings and you just want to show very nice, colorful. They don't want to see red, they just want to see green. But do you know that actually the guy who's preparing the report has been truthful? Or they just want to save their behind and not getting creamed in a meeting? I've seen that over and over again. And Tony says here, quarterly surveys are not listening. So therefore, we need to have this regular, low barrier check-ins, like what Tony has just mentioned is very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, Melissa?
Real care, real genuine care, which has profound effects on productivity, on culture, right, is a lot harder to measure, and it takes time.
Yeah.
But it's something that people feel. You mentioned this earlier about psychological safety, and that person who's giving the feedback, is it real feedback, or are they giving the feedback they think the top tiers need to hear in order to stay safe, to keep their jobs, to not put themselves in a vulnerable position? Well-being is about vulnerability. It's about saying, I'm struggling, I need help.
Yeah.
So it's about how people feel. It's about how people are spoken to in meetings. It's whether people feel safe to say, I need support. I need to take a few days off. I need to slow down. I don't understand what is needed of me.
Exactly.
And to know that they're in a space where rest is something that is prioritized, that is respected and honored.
Correct.
Not resented.
Correct. Yep. Exactly, Melissa. And participants are talking about leadership. So the point that brings me to my next point, which is actually true change, true culture change starts at the top. It has to show up at the leader side. They need to behave when no one's watching. It's not to behave when people are watching, right? If they behave only when people are watching, it means they are putting on a show, Oscars winner of the world, right?
They're in performance. They're not being present.
Correct. So when you see, like when someone messes up, or like you said, someone that needs help, they raise their concerns, they need help, they ask for help. So that's actually where well-being or wellness, whether it lives or it dies, right? So when someone brings it up, what is the next step? And let me be very blunt here, right? You know me, straight talker. I don't like to sugarcoat things because I don't like to waste time. These leaders, let me tell you, are not even aware that their behaviors are not wanted or are unwarranted, or is already not in the trend anymore. And therefore, a lot of companies and leaders, to me, they need to wake up to this reality. Outdated behaviors is just going to, I call it, leading wellness to apocalypse lah. You're going to kill wellness just by behaving that way. Yeah. Let me poke you all one more time. I'm stoking the fire here, but I'm doing it on a purpose tonight. And I'm on purpose getting into trouble.
With purpose.
And like I said, I always get into trouble. So question is, how do you wake up these giants? My hint to you, you have to stoke the fire. Now, here's the thing. If you feel intimidated or worried that you lose your job, like you mentioned just now, Melissa, that you worry that you lose your job because you're going to speak up, because you're going to wake up the sleeping giant. When you bloody know that giant needs to be awakened in order for a slight chance of change to happen. If you feel that you're intimidated or you're concerned that you're going to lose a job because you're going to wake that sleeping giant, then you yourself need to wake up first. Because if you don't, and you don't dare, you keep worrying about, oh, you know, what if they don't like me? What ifs will definitely lead to the wellness apocalypse. Let me tell you that. And I've worked on so many sleeping giants that I always get into trouble. And for those companies who celebrate me in terms of waking up them, that, hey, look, we need to change and move on with the times, I stay very long. But for those who don't, then thank you very much. So, yeah.
I just want to highlight something that Lobubu just said. She just posted, to truly rid the profession of toxicity, we might need to cut off the entire senior tier and start again. And tomorrow, she's going to ask people to vote on that anonymously. And by the way, just a shout out of appreciation for this idea of an anonymous form, which I actually got from Lobubu. Although nobody filled it up, but that's okay. We're just starting off. But this is an important part of the conversation that we're having, Kevin. And I'm glad that you're stoking the fire, because change doesn't happen from comfort. Okay. And just to lead on from what you were saying, yes, so many of us are ruled by fear, especially after the lockdown. We're still recovering, right? Still so much change happening. The world is moving faster than ever now, also in the age of AI. And I know Jean will probably have some thoughts about this. But if we worry so much about losing our jobs and really, trigger warning, killing ourselves, staying in a place that is not taking care of us, we don't have that long view, because when we compromise our well-being, we're not going to last in that job anyway.
Definitely
And
not.
you're going to end up leaving worse than you are now.
Correct.
Stoke that fire. Find your community. Here's one right here. People who are like-minded, radical, because change is radical. Change is important. Change is needed. This is well-being we're talking about. So if you don't start to put yourself first and find a way gently and slowly through first community like this, having conversations with people who are aligned, getting the feedback, feeling, remembering, knowing that you're not alone in this. If you don't do that, causing yourself harm. And actually, the bottom line is we don't have anyone to blame, because change has to start within you.
Within us. That's right.
Okay, so I'll get off my soapbox right now and turn to my leader here in this conversation. Where do you think we should go next in this? Because we've got so much we could talk about. And this is one of the things Kevin and I were like, okay, we have an hour or less. We really want this to be more of an intro session for everybody. So we're just going to touch on a few different things. Okay, so Kevin, back to you.
Yeah, I just want to touch on what Labubu mentioned here. She said that don't really know how to bring this to anyone's attention. The top tiers are saying stupid things like juniors can vote on their feet or with their feet, but the fact that plenty of people just can't quit. Yes, plenty of people just can't quit. But the thing is, there must be, like what Melissa just mentioned, there must be a first step. If you take that step and start creating the awareness, creating the network, creating the community within that workplace, get a sponsor to help move the ball a bit, move the needle a bit by bit. Sooner or later, these people at the top will see it, and they will only see it when there's value. So usually what we'll do is we could create pilot projects, make it a showcase, make sure it works, and then go from there. I wouldn't have any straightforward answers for this, but it has to be customized, right? It has to be customized. Those at the workplace will know what are the issues, band together, get a sponsor who is quite close to the top tiers, and they could actually say good words for the project to move on. So that's what I would start with as a small tab moving forward. So I'm just going to move forward, touch on the next element of this conversation, Alyssa.
Yes.
I would like to now change gears a bit. And okay, just now, so we're talking about those at the top not really want to change and things like that. But there's also the other element about inclusion, isn't it? Inclusion perspective, if you are, we call it neurodivergent, or like you and me, navigating cultural guilt, or you are the first one in your family member to be in a leadership position. Self-care looks very different for each and every one. Telling someone like that at that level, hey, go and take a bubble bath, they will laugh at you. And sometimes they say, hey, what are you trying to say? You're trying to offend me or something like that. And they can't take it. So you see, in countries or regions of the world that look at these elements as cultural non-fit. So that's why we call ourselves misfits, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a challenge for trying to have this inclusion element, right? I've taken care of HR from Japan to Kuwait to the UK, and having a HQ in the US is basically around the world. And those cultures, especially in the Middle East, don't even talk about this. I think we all know how it works there, right? And I want to take it more closer to home, actually to myself, right? I'm being vulnerable here, but I'd like to share this. I grew up, my family background is very diverse. Okay, as you all know, I'm Gen X, grew up in the 70s, where people in Malaysia are still pretty much my own culture. Chinese, like Chinese, Malay, Indian, or the line, they call it. But mine, I grew up in a family that has Chinese, Malays, Brits, French, Filipino, Singaporeans, Bonians. So I'm actually very globalized already when I was small. And I was the first grandson on my mother's side that has all these global people in the family. So English is actually our first family language. And mind you, my grandma comes from China. Those days don't even know English a single word, but she has to learn. So Western ideology started with my grandfathers, actually on both sides of the family, actually. So hence, when I was in the corporate world, those companies love my style. They love it because then this general or this generational cultural expectations is basically, how should I say, non-existent in me. So automatically inclusion is there in wherever I go and that kind of thing. And those of us who carry these generational expectations, as Melissa puts it just now, fail to leverage on me. So using that as an example, inclusion, I think, is something closely related to wellness as well. Because why? It makes people feel wanted, leveraged, valued. And let me tell you, no pickleball session can replace that. I'm not sure whether Darren Low is listening or not. Taking the bat and trying to hit me right through the lens. Hey, don't break the computer. No?
Yeah. I hear what you're saying on that, on the generational influence and also cultural influence. I, like you, come from a mix of cultures, and I'm curious to see that people here, our friends here, please do drop in the chat if you're open to share what your cultural diversity is. So for me, it's Malay, Chinese, and Japanese. And just to touch on the culture, intrinsically in my DNA, my ancestors have come from 3 different countries. And with that 3 different cultures, I'm born within a conflict already. The Malay is more relaxed, more peaceful, chilled, go with the flow vibe. Okay. And I'm sharing, by the way, from my own personal experience. Okay. And my own feeling. My Chinese side are go-getters. They're ambitious. They're aggressive. Okay. I don't mean aggressive with ambition. Let's put it that way. Go-getters, like I said, and pioneers. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I have the Japanese part of me who are very traditional, very stoic, very highly focused. So in those 3 different ways, 3 different descriptions, there's already an inner conflict with me, right? So trying to practice wellness from a cultural perspective is challenging.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have an awareness for it. I know what I need to do, but on a deeper level, sometimes I don't understand why I can't achieve or take care of my wellness the way I know I can, because actually it does run deeper. So I'm not sure if everybody can, or I'm describing this well enough for everybody to understand. I'm doubting myself right now, but let me just put it this way. This is why what Kevin mentioned earlier about really being open to listening to people is so important. Not because we want to fix people, but most of the time it's because all we need for wellness, base level, is to be heard.
To be heard. That's right.
It's simply to be heard. Oh, my mom expects me to do better, but my dad is so chilled. I'm struggling with that. Okay. I hear you.
Yeah.
How can I help you? I'm watching a TV series right now called New Amsterdam. Don't know if any of you are watching that.
Okay.
And I've adopted this line that Dr. Max Goodwin says in every episode, which is, how can I help? This speaks to we've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen more than we speak, because honestly, Kevin, and everyone here, you already have the answers. You already know what you need. You just need someone to hold space, someone to be with you and guide you to the answer that's already within you.
Exactly.
Okay, so wellness needs to be intersectional. And being intersectional isn't about studying every culture and curating your wellness program for every culture. It means being open to the diversity of people that you are supporting.
True.
Holding space for their nervous systems that are wired differently and whose family histories vary.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And just want to add on to that, Melissa, this just happened yesterday. So one of my clients said that, hey, look, I've got this young kid. So 3 years in a job, fresh out of school those days. Just want this, have this one-to-one engagement with him, please. We need to know whether he's clicking up there or not. And these are software engineers are talking about, right? So sometimes they got this syntax error 404 coming out, blue screen kind of shit.
We had that yesterday, error 404, didn't we?
Error 404, that's right. LinkedIn gave us error 404. I'm not sure whether you all have experienced that before, but we did yesterday. So anyway, with this kid, basically it's just want somebody to listen to. And the things that we talked about and the things that was surfaced, never talked about at home as well. So imagine as a Gen Z, if at home you're not being listened to and at work also you're not being listened to, where are you going to go to? And then like you said, if you have got a manager, and Tony put it there very rightfully, if you've got a manager who expects you to be checking emails at the poolside when you're on a holiday, then basically you're screwed. Sorry for my word, but you are.
That's pretty polite, I'd say.
Oh yeah.
I would have used a different word.
I'm trying to be kind. You're recording it. The other one is that Sharifa mentioned here. She has a manager who cared for her, provided options and help. And that's how leaders should be doing. And like she said there, her life was transformed because of that help from the leader. So you rightfully put it, everybody needs to be heard. They want to be heard. They want someone to validate their feelings, Sharifa. That's it. Exactly. And that's exactly what happened yesterday with the young engineer that I was speaking to. And at the end of the conversation, I asked him, so you're a software engineer. I'm trying to talk IT lingo here. So what's your turnaround time now? What's your SLA? When are you going to turn yourself around and show to your manager that, hey, look, this is my actual self. Forget about the past. Forget about the syntax error. Let's start afresh. But one thing that he said to me, I need my manager to be supportive. You see, these Gen Zs, they want to hit a lot of targets, but they need people to guide them. And I've always told my clients and my friends that, hey, look, as family members, we just don't do parental guidance at home. We need to do that at the workplace as well, especially for these Gen Zs who are in the workforce right now. Yeah, sorry, I think I digressed a bit, Melissa.
No,
You're still with me? Okay.
Yeah, of course, I'm still with you.
Okay.
Of course. Just to get people a little more engaged in the chat as well, I'm to invite you to share, like Sharifa had shared her own experience with this at work. And it doesn't even have to be at work. Let's just broaden the boundary a little bit here. I'd love for you to reflect on a time, because it's also proof, not just social, it's personal proof to yourself that there are good people out there. And what is required of you is the simple, and I'm using this word intentionally, simple courage to share vulnerably where you are, because that's the reality. Now, if we constantly pretend we're okay and we're not stressed and we're not burnt out and we're not exhausted, we're actually keeping a secret to you're keeping a secret to yourself. You're lying to yourself in a way that is, and I'm using this word again, trigger warning, killing you.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And you got to dig deep. And a lot of this, a fundamental part of this wellness journey for yourself in the workplace, but really for yourself, is radical honesty.
Yeah.
It's speaking the truth. And part of finding your safe community, it's a fast filter, let me tell you this, is to speak your truth. Because then immediately you'll get that feedback of whether someone gets you, someone is aligned with you or not.
Yeah.
We put this out 4 weeks ago and you've all shown up. Kevin and I were brutally honest and open. actually, still in a very polite way. And we got 16 of you here.
Mm.
Now, multiply that, okay? Who's really good with stats, right? 16 to the power of whatever. If each of you did this within this community, imagine how fast this would grow. And it starts with a safe space, a community where you can show up, speak your radical truth, be heard, be seen, be held. A space where literally you can fall apart without it being seen as a weakness. But also you can celebrate those wins. You have a space to reflect on those times you struggled. Fuck. I'm saying it because if I use this content, I like bleep, right? You struggle like hell, but you know what? There was someone there.
Yeah.
And we forget this because if we hyper focus on how bad things are and how much we're struggling, we lose sight of all those magical moments, those strangers, those people that those gifts of people who dropped in. And now with social media, with LinkedIn the way it is, okay, I know there's a bit of a mixed emotion around that with AI, how it's being used, but really we are more social, more than ever. It's important to speak your truth and magnetize the people who are there for you, who can be there for you, and let the rest just drop away.
Yep.
It's about taking things less personally in order to be more personable.
Personable, that's right.
Okay.
Right.
And I'm going to just leave it there. I'm going to pass it back to you, Kevin. How are we doing for time?
I think we've got another maybe 10, 15 minutes, and maybe you want to later open up the floor a little bit. Maybe we can take a few questions or some comments.
Yeah, I'll open up the floor and I'll stop recording at that point too, so
at that point
people can have an open. Okay, cool.
That's right. So just one point that you mentioned just now to share a little bit of my vulnerabilities in this chat, which I think I want to share this in the sense that I'm not sure some of you have heard of this before or not. More than a decade ago, probably 15, 16 years ago, I had this traumatic accident. And up to now, I'm still walking with 5 fractured vertebrae on my back. At that time, I had a cracked skull with a blood clot the size of a Kit Kat bar. And I still receive aggressive emails from the boss. I receive SMSs, toxic SMSs that, hey, because you're not around, I've got to do all this shit for you. As a HR guy at that time, I could have just taken those messages and go to labor court and just to hell with you, but I did not. But one thing really, like what Tony mentioned, replying emails at the poolside. This is replying emails with 5 broken bones on your back and a blood clot in the brain. Oh, literally, I was doing payroll in the ICU, telling the nurse, hold up my laptop for me to do payroll on the second day in the ICU. So that was how bad it was. And yet I have to do those things, right? So it made me feel that I was the problem and it wasn't the culture. And what helped? I remember waking up the giant. Remember just now I mentioned about waking up the giant? We have to wake up the giant, right? I woke up the giant and the giant was me. It started with me. So when my manager starts to stab me on my back and infiltrated and how should I say, infected, I use the word infected, all the way to the top rungs of the HQ in Europe. This is a European company, by the way. And you didn't allow me to physically heal and mentally heal after a traumatic accident. I basically said that, hey, look, I'm done. Thank you very much. I stood up. Enough is enough. I walked up. And do you know who was the person who woke me up, actually? Have a guess, Melissa.
Oh, good grief. You put me on the spot.
Yeah. Who woke me
I
up?
really
Who do you think? My wife.
What was... beautiful.
My wife. And that's why I love her so much. I love her so much. Feeling emotional here, but hey, but it is. You start to learn how to walk again and stuff like that. It's just very traumatic. And some words that she said really woke me up. Why are we doing this? Why should you be going through all this nonsense when the signs were already there and you're still doing it? Basically, like, walk up. So like to what Labubu said just now, if the leaders are not listening, if the culture is not changing, you've done your best already. Do you know that even in that situation, I still stayed on with that manager for 1 whole year, 12 bloody months? And Dr. Azhar, yes, that is crazy. And again, yes, Dr. Azhar mentioned, why didn't I speak up? Because of just now that one thing somebody mentioned, worried of losing the job. See, I'm the sole breadwinner. I don't bring in the bread, nobody eats.
Yeah, and this is why, Kevin, also wellness and well-being and psychological and emotional safety in the workplace is also looks and feels different for men and women. Traditionally, men provide. I say traditionally. Genetically, that's also how men are wired because of, guess what, women? That's how we bring them up. Women are less likely to speak up.
Yep.
Okay. And I don't even want to get into that, but just on a general basis, we know men and women are fundamentally different. So this looks different. And we talked earlier about cultural pressures. Men provide, women just suck it up. We're stoic. We're too emotional anyway. So we're shamed for speaking up anyway in the first place. So I really want to honor you for sharing this journey of yours, and much love to your wife for being your biggest supporter at the time, to encourage you when our leaders fail us. It's not about us.
Yeah.
In fact, it's a beautiful opportunity for us to step up into our own personal leadership. So,
Correct.
Kevin, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. So, yeah, and Vivian said, right, men are less likely to speak up because why? We just suck it up and just get it done. But things has changed, Vivian. No more like that. Now, for me, I speak my mind. You don't like it, thank you very much. Swipe left, swipe right, I do whatever.
And also, sorry, Kevin, go ahead.
Sorry. And for women need to speak up. Women need to speak up. Yes, you can be seen as emotional and things like that. But hey, sometimes the emotional is the weapon. That's the secret weapon, let me tell you.
When everybody's on their own timeline, Dr. Azhar mentioned here, oh, I've just lost that chat. Well, we have all seen things we wish we had spoken up about. And that's because we're all on our own journey, on our own timing. And we do things when it feels right. The flip side to that coin is we often wait until we're ready.
Yeah.
But really, we're born
and
ready. And sometimes we just need that cheerleader, like your wife. Sometimes we just need that advocate that we have, that friend, that community. That's why places like this, conversations like this can help. And everybody is different, right? I will challenge you on that, Kevin. You say things are different now for men and women. It's not. It's not different. It's definitely not different. There are still many people who stay silent for different reasons, which is why we're having this conversation today.
Yeah, in the interest of time, I think we've got here about 10, 15 minutes left.
Yeah.
How are we going to do this? Do we want to open up the floor or do we want to cover some other things?
What I would like to just spend maybe 3 minutes doing is just to give people a little bit of some narrative, some language, because to take away something that's useful to take away with them in terms of wellness in the workplace. I'm just going to cover a couple of things, Kevin, if I may.
Please.
Time keep me 3 minutes. Okay. We're in the workplace. We want to ask for help. Sometimes we're shut down. When we finally build up that courage to ask something or to say something, to speak up, we get shut down. Okay. So here's some language. Here are some statements, some sentences you can say. Practice in front of the mirror if you need to. Practice with your friends. Practice with me and Kevin. You can get in contact with us. You know, when a leader, whether you are the leader or you're being led, and you hear this statement, all you need to do is take a break. Right? Just take a break. You might be minimized by that. Oh, just take a break.
Yeah.
Realize that breaks are important, but actually what you want is to find out why you need to take the break. Or you could acknowledge that leader and say, thank you for encouraging me to rest. Actually, what I want to do is explore why it is I'm feeling this way every day. Something is draining me. And thanks for the break, but I'm coming back not feeling any better. Is there something else you can suggest I do? Or can I have the opportunity to explore this? When someone says to you, here, I've already given you all the checklist of things to do, just do it. Might want to ask, do you feel safe to do it? Does the room that I'm going to for this class, is it full of people that I don't relate to? Is the teacher speaking my language? Is there a race issue? I'm just going to say it. the psychological, the emotional safety within that space. I have all the tools, but I don't relate to this person for one reason or another.
Yep.
I'll just stop there. And I do want to just say to everybody here as well, if you have questions on tips or tools or strategies, I'm here for that. So please contact me on LinkedIn or wherever you know me, and we can open up this conversation.
Yeah.
I think my 2 minutes are up.
Yeah, I think it's a continuous conversation kind of thing. For me, I don't have the perfect solution, but as we talk, as we engage, I think little pockets of solutions do pop up. I believe that. And Marilyn, thank you very much for having the 10 packs there that you rounded at Pickle Thursday. Woohoo!
So it says we've got 18 participants in here, but actually we have 28. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's super awesome.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you, Kevin, for saying yes to explore this. And we're here to serve. I think I can speak for Kevin. We're here to serve. We're here to get curious. We're here to be confident and courageous together and remind each other we're not alone on this journey. Kevin, any closing words from you?
Yeah, no, I'm just want to echo you and say thanks, everyone. Thank you very much for taking time. And Tony, your sleeping time, for joining us here today. And those at the Pickleball Thursday, hey, thanks for taking a break and joining us as well. Everybody else on the call with Boost Cat as well, thanks very much for joining us.